Hey everyone, welcome to Snarf Talk with Chris.
And Jerry.
And this is our podcast where we give you a behind-the-scenes look as we create a comic book.
We're going to talk about TV, movies, comic books, and hopefully have a lot of guests, other writers, creators, and friends.
Check us out at snarfcomics.com. You can check out our blog and follow along with everything we got going on. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Snarf Comics. And please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes.
Enjoy the episode. Gosh, I'm so excited.
I know.
We're recording a podcast.
That music just really amped me up.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I get so...
I texted you the other day. I said I was on my way home in the planter.
Yes.
Old John Deere 7000 because I planted all of my corn with a 1970s planter and a 1970s tractor, a 4440.
Can you explain that to me as to why that happened?
Well, I planted like most of my first corn with my regular planter, and then when it started getting late, and then later, and then later, and then later, and then later, I wanted to switch my planter over for beans.
Yeah.
And so I could run both planters, one in corn and one in beans at the same time.
But I just consistently saw the old stuff out.
Yeah.
And the
it's
new
that
stuff
kind of
in the
year.
shop. Like, the new stuff was always being worked on, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, the old stuff works better. But anyway,
it does.
I was on the way back with that planter, rocking and rolling, listening to the podcast, and then I got to the end music, and I texted you. I go, I could listen to a 10-minute song of our outro music, and boom, blew a tire right on the road.
Oh, that's when that happened?
In the ditch, and ruined the rim and everything.
Wait a minute. Like, you just recently texted me that.
Yeah, that's when it happened.
So is that the second time you've blown a tire?
Well, actually, this year, the third time in 3 different tractors.
Okay.
So today, I blew a tire on the 28 applicator.
Oh, that's an issue.
It's blocked up right now, waiting for a new tire to come in the morning. But that
holy
I
cow!
blew a tire on the planter. I blew a tire on my sprayer. I blew a tire today on the applicator, and yesterday on the sprayer.
But you had one on a tractor too.
Did I?
Yeah, because you didn't come to like it was a...
That was a sprayer that blew twice this year.
Oh, that was a sprayer.
Twice it's blown this year. And then I had a tractor start on fire.
I didn't know that.
Tractor fire and melted the whole engine. It's at John Deere now. They had to come pick it
No
up.
way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's a nonstop cavalcade of ridiculousness.
Not only does it rain every day, but yet...
Well, not anymore. And now
No, it doesn't rain anymore, but yet your equipment starts on fire, your tires fail. This is what I would call a preventative maintenance failure.
I don't think so. And then yesterday I finished planting beans.
Good.
Well, I still got a little bit, but for the most part, I planted and finished planting beans, except for some wet holes, and there's some I'm planting in the nursery. But anyway, I had 50 acres left, and the planter shaft broke, so I had to take
the drive shaft of the...
Yeah,
that's an issue.
So that was fun. It's nonstop stuff breaking.
Yeah.
That's my life.
So,
I don't want your life.
don't want your life.
What's that from?
I don't remember.
Oh, come on.
Sling Blade.
James Vanderbeek.
Oh, Remember the Titans?
Football.
Remember the
He
Titans?
wasn't in Remember the Titans. That was the one set in like the 1950s.
What?
Remember the Titans? Wasn't that like set in the olden days?
No.
Yes.
Not at all. Remember the Titans was a childhood movie of ours. We remember that movie from our childhood.
Remember the Titans.
Oh, Varsity Blues.
Yeah, it was Varsity Blues.
Yeah,
That's the one I was
Varsity
referring
Blues
to.
is James Vanderbeek, but Remember the Titans is of the 70s, I believe.
1971. So I was closer than...
I thought you meant like it was created.
Oh, no.
Like in that time period, not set in that time period.
Anyway, So I was also
I
texting
don't
you
want
that
your
I was also texting you that day because, like, there's not enough snarf talk, and it's annoying.
No, there's a lot of snarf talk,
And
actually. It's just that most people don't have 34 hours in a tractor in a day.
I just figured it out the other day. Up until it's kind of still going for about like 2 weeks. When did it stop raining? Like 2 Saturdays ago? I don't
Yeah,
know.
something like that.
I've been running
It was.
almost 20 hours a day every single day.
Yeah. And it is really insane, but literally everyone in our area has had to do that.
Yeah.
Like there is no choice. There's literally no choice.
And then it's like when you're not, or something breaks, you're just sprinting to the next piece of equipment to do some other task.
Yeah.
And then
in order
sprinting
to
back.
like to try to get ahead or to try to catch up on something else.
I'm starting to get caught up.
Everyone's plans, like the way you set up planting and spraying and nitrogen and
Totally
whatever
out the window.
Yeah, all of it's been thrown out the window. All of it's wrong. All of it's
I don't even know like
what you planned. Like it doesn't
seed
matter.
I'm dumping in. I'm just like dumping seed in.
Yeah.
I'm like whatever.
And I understand that. A lot of people don't get it, but it is what it is. Like you have to put seed in the ground, and a lot of people think it's just putting seed in the ground. There's so much more to that, and you guys have had a really, really rough go.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, like in the beginning of the last podcast, about like how it is somewhat of a natural disaster because it is. Like, it affects our entire nation.
Yeah.
If a crop doesn't get planted. It affects like all sorts of industry, whether it's like transportation, like food, cattle, like, any feed, anything like that. Like it all echoes down the line, and that's what we're in right now. So a lot of this, like not only can you not get corn and soybeans in the ground, a lot of people aren't cutting hay or feeding their livestock. And
and you're not spraying it on
Yeah,
time. Things are going to be super weedy. It's going to have a hard time getting nitrogen on. And then we had this window, so everybody planted like crazy.
right, which is good.
And it hasn't rained since, and everybody planted into mud, and now it's crusting over.
Right.
So if we don't get a rain soon, there's going to be some real issues.
There is, but there's also been the opposite of that, where people have planted into mud and like corn's come up in 6 days, 5 days.
Not even, yeah.
Like something stupid because it's been so warm and wet. Like the crop is coming up quickly. If it hasn't yet, like a lot of the soybeans going in right now.
I'm a little concerned about the soybeans that I put in a week ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks.
But we're supposed to get rain Wednesday.
Yes.
You're in this weird position now where you're like, I don't want it to rain because I am not caught up, but I kind of do because it would be good for what's already in the ground. And
right.
I don't know.
At this point, it is what it is.
Just
like
a
what
cluster.
you've got. Yeah. There's no fixing what's happened, right?
No.
There isn't. So what you've got in the ground is good because it's in the ground. Like I've never heard of anybody growing a successful crop that was in the bag.
Right. I think it's crazy because it hasn't rained in now like a week or more.
Yeah.
And I went out yesterday and almost got the tractor stuck. Like,
that's what's insane. It's the top layer. It looks completely dry.
yeah.
And you sent a Snapchat out like top layer is dry, but underneath is a monster.
A monster lurks beneath.
Yeah, that's what it was. A monster lurks beneath, and it's true.
Yeah.
And that's true.
The groundwater is
across
really
the
high
board.
right now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable.
It just takes a long time for the water table to drop. That's what people don't understand.
The water table won't drop for a long time.
That's what people don't understand is it doesn't really matter the surface or if it's not raining and stuff. It's about the water table and where it is. And it's still high. Even the rivers are still high and
all
creeks
of them.
are still high.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do, like the Mississippi's still flooding.
Terrible.
But you got to understand, too, we missed.
Historically.
In this area, we've had a window here of a week. But up just north of us, it kept raining up there.
Yeah.
like inches,
Bad.
3 inches, and
So I keep saying like historically, but it's really bad. It is historical floods for the Mississippi River. And right at, so for the Corps of Engineers, I work in the Rock Island district, right at Rock Island. So lock 15 and below. I can't remember what lock it was, but the previous record of them staying at like full capacity of their dam, so the dam wide open, letting out as much water as they can possibly run, which is like 300,000 CFS, has been like the previous record was like 37 days, and on Friday it was at 81 days.
holy cow.
So today would be what, like 80, let's see, 82, 3, 84, 5 days that they've been full capacity running water like crazy, flooding everyone downstream.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. It's, again, historic. Like, this is a historic thing that has never happened before, ever.
It's amazing, though, like in a week, how much has gone in the ground, and
it's been really good
in
to see.
very, very marginal conditions.
But also, like, me being on the outside of having any stress of like livelihood, it's good to see that people are getting things in, regardless of the conditions or whatever. Like,
In bad conditions, though.
yeah, they're not perfect conditions, obviously, not even close. But you're getting things in the ground. It's making it possible for you to grow something,
Yeah.
and that obviously is better than having an empty field.
Well, I mean, if you have
To a point,
if you have a good level of crop insurance,
right?
it'll be all right. But
There's so many different levels to this.
there's variables into variables and variables.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't recorded in a couple weeks. It's been crazy. It's been a whirlwind. I still don't know what day it is. I have no idea what day it is right now.
Today's Monday.
I did not know that.
Yeah, today's a Monday.
Just all runs together. I honestly didn't know that.
No, yeah, today is a Monday, June 9th. No, June
I thought it was
10th.
Wednesday. I really did. I actually was pushing to record this because I'm like, we better get it recorded because it's got to come out tomorrow.
Oh, no. Nope. Today's the Monday. But no, you're right, because we did. I would have only been available tomorrow, and then after that, I wouldn't have been available.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
before we
I decided when I kept, quickly run out of Snarf Talk, we ought to be recording 3 times a week.
That's a huge feat, and I would like to do that.
Or 2 times a week.
I think we could do that. But
We certainly couldn't for a couple more weeks. But
no. But what I had immediately texted back was, that's possible if I were to quit my job and if we had a studio, like an actual studio.
yeah, we can do a studio. We can get a studio going.
We can get a studio, but I can't quit my job.
You don't need to quit your job to record 2 times a week.
Oh, Chris. I mean, we need better production. We need people. Dude, I watch this guy on YouTube. MN Millennial Farmer, Minnesota Millennial Farmer.
Yeah, we took a picture with him.
You did?
Yeah, me and David.
No
your
way.
brother-in-law.
He didn't tell me that.
Yeah, he Snapchatted it to you when we were at the...
No, he did not.
We took a picture
Nope.
in Florida at the Commodity Classic with him.
With him?
Yeah.
He did not tell me that, and I did not get a Snapchat from him because I would have noticed. I told him about the Millennial Farmer on Facebook.
He took it because he's like, actually, it was really funny because he walked up to the guy. I was walking around with him. He's like, oh, that's that Millennium Farmer guy. I got to get a picture. And he walked up to him. He's like, hey, do you mind if I get a picture? My brother-in-law really likes you, so I want to get a picture for him. Or something like that.
He did not send it to me. I did not see. I would have obviously remembered because I do like that guy.
Yeah.
He's really great. Like, he's teaching people about farming. He does a really good job, and his videos are hilarious. And it teaches you about farming. Like, he does a good job at it. Where was I going with that?
I don't know.
What did I say?
Production
before that?
value?
Oh, yeah. So he was talking about a podcast that he has, and he's got like this like public access, like TV network doing his podcast, like producing it for him. I want someone to produce our show.
Not necessary.
Well, it is if you want actual production value.
In any case, no, it's good. I feel like I'm getting caught up. Until I would have been really caught up if I hadn't blown the tire out tonight. But I feel like I'm getting caught up. Things are looking up. Now
Good.
it's just finishing nitrogen and tackling this weed issue, which is a real big issue. Speaking of a weed issue, what happened in the meantime is Illinois legalized marijuana.
They did January 2020.
And the most aggressive legalization plan of all states ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because not only are they legalizing it, they're expunging every criminal record for it, and they're releasing everybody that's in prison.
I didn't know that.
That had
didn't know that
had
was-
a marijuana conviction.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It's like people are like going out of their way and being like, "Oh, this is a huge step forward for the anti-prohibition."
It is. We'll see what happens. I mean, it can be a huge step forward in a lot of things, but I don't know.
It's a really good thing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens to Illinois. I mean,
There's nothing but positive benefits. Well, okay, maybe that's not,
wait a minute here.
nothing. But I listened to this podcast today. It was on Joe Rogan. It was a guy who's like a drug expert, and it's amazing. You got to listen to this podcast.
Okay.
He
Who
has
is
a
it?
book out. I can't remember his name.
Oh, well, that sums it up for me. I'll know exactly who to listen to.
I'll tell you in
Thank
2
you.
seconds. I think it's Johan Hari.
That's who I thought.
Yeah. No. He's got a book out on the drug war, like the war on drugs.
Okay.
Which you have to listen to it. It's an embarrassing failure. The war on
really?
drugs that started basically right after alcohol prohibition, which failed spectacularly.
Which is like the 20s, right?
Yeah, which failed spectacularly. And when that failed, and it's funny because, there was massive amounts of crime
Yes.
during Prohibition, right?
Big time.
That all pretty much disappeared as soon as Prohibition was overturned because Prohibition doesn't work.
Right.
So what happened is there was this department, the department that was in charge of alcohol prohibition after they overturned it, had nothing really to do. So they're like, well,
Makes
let's
sense.
focus on marijuana, which marijuana at that time, it isn't the same thing as cannabis. It was actually a wild strain of tobacco from Mexico. It isn't really cannabis, but anyway, the guy that was running this department was a horrendous racist. He was considered a horrendous racist at the time in the 1920s.
That's bad.
By his colleagues.
Yeah, that's bad.
He wrote memos using the N-word and stuff like that constantly. And
So-
it was
so
like
he's
brought
like
before like Congress, like they wanted to fire him.
Yeah.
But this was the guy that was in charge of the prohibition department, whatever that is afterwards. And it was 100% just a method of enforcing racism against Mexicans and black people. And that kind of continued. Of course, it wasn't, I don't believe it was made illegal then until like the 19 something later on during the civil rights movement, again, as a ploy.
Which is like the 60s.
Yeah. And again, that was a ploy. Basically, there was racist motivations,
Yeah.
essentially, behind all of it. But it gets wilder and it continues. But this guy in the 1920s, right? He went out of his way to literally destroy people's lives. Like there was this woman who was a black. I'm sorry, no, it wasn't marijuana at the time. It was heroin or something.
Oh.
Prohibition at the time.
That's bad.
Anyway, it was both of these things. But you got to listen to the podcast. But anyway, he just goes on about the history of all this. But that's one aspect of it. The bigger aspect of it is the massive amount of crime that is created by these prohibitions.
By it.
And cartel, not just cartel violence, but basically anytime you're like, for example, nobody from Anheuser-Busch is going and murdering somebody at Miller Coors,
Right.
because it's legal. But when you have dealers and a whole network in the black market, they don't have the ability to use the police to protect their property. So the only way they have to protect their property is either by violence or by establishing such a bad reputation for violence that nobody wants to fuck with them.
Right.
So that's creates all this, and then it gets whole into the cartel system. He talks all about that, and he talks about these programs they've done.
It does make a lot of sense. I mean, to a point. I don't condone killing people, but I understand what you mean by, like, why wouldn't you take out your direct competitor,
right,
when you're trying to, like,
well, and
establish
the thing about drugs too in the black market is, if you remove a dealer, either through police action, so you arrest a dealer, take him off the street, it does not disrupt the supply at all. Within an hour, there's another dealer.
Really, like instantly.
Pretty much, it just doesn't really affect the supply. But he goes way into more depth too on how the people that are lobbying to continue the prohibition of marijuana are basically the prison unions are one of them, because they want to keep people coming into prison. Oh,
yeah, obviously.
And the alcohol industry, because it's competition. So they're lobbying towards it. And then
really? I never even thought about that.
Really fundamentalist.
It would be.
Religious groups like the Mormon Church, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a plant that's been used for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Right.
But he goes into the whole idea and the mechanism of drugs and how people have this vast misconception, even when, let's talk about like harder drugs like heroin, for example, this misconception that we've been fed our whole lives, which, I mean, I think most people still believe is that, if you give anybody a bunch of heroin, they're going to be addicted because there's a physical addiction quality to it. And there is to an extent, but that's not really the case. That's only true in about 15% of the cases. So most people that are doing and continuing to do heroin, it's not out of physical dependence. It's because of a bunch of other crap in their lives. And then once you start doing the heroin, your life continually gets worse, and then you go back to more heroin. So the addiction isn't all the chemical substance. It's a whole thing of self-esteem and, digging yourself into a hole that you don't feel you can get into.
But the physical addiction to something is because you like it because of a chemical.
In a very small amount of people, they will continue to do it purely out of the physical addiction. The vast majority of people, once their life improves, will quit doing it. And if you listen to it, there's a vast amount of evidence that supports that. And he talks about
I'll have to check this out.
Switzerland, I think, is the country, which is a super conservative country.
Yep.
Like more conservative than the conservatives in the United States. Very, very conservative.
Really?
And so they are having this huge problem with heroin overdoses and stuff like that. So they, as the government, basically said, hey, we're going to get this. They went to like a group of scientists, and they're like, we've tried everything. You guys study this and recommend what we should do. So they studied it for 2 years, and this panel of scientists came back and said, this is what you need to do. Legalize heroin, make it freely available in clinics for people. They go in there. It's 100% free. It's medical grade, 100% pure heroin. So it's way better than anything you would ever get on the street.
Right.
And it's 100% free. You go in there. They give you the syringe. You do it all under medical supervision. So people come in there in the morning, do their heroin, medical supervision, free, go about their day.
What?
In the meantime, they provide those people with a whole wealth of other support as far as housing and stuff like that. And not only did the use of heroin plummet to almost nothing, overdose deaths went to 0 over a course of many, many, many years, because it's all medically supervised. And it's pure, and it's not cut with all this bullshit and fentanyl and all this stuff.
Yep.
And what they saw also was the crime rate dropped by almost 50%, because
holy crap,
most of the people that were doing the heroin
were committing crimes to get
the money to do it.
To either get the money or get the heroin.
So men were doing property crime, essentially, and women were doing prostitution. And that created a whole wealth. So if a woman
a man can be a prostitute too.
And that some of that too, and he says that. Okay. But for example, if a woman gets into heroin, and so she starts becoming a prostitute to buy her heroin. Then she feels miserable and terrible about herself.
Right.
And so she's going back to heroin to do more heroin. So
To feel good.
So that works spectacularly in that country. It also, they've done it in Portugal, and it had the same effect. So there's a lot of evidence out there.
Crazy.
And that's,
It is.
we
It
have
is
a problem. Like, it isn't working what we're doing.
I know, and it's just like it's exactly like taking a toy away from a toddler.
Yeah.
In essence, like, so you take something away from a child and they want it back. They want that only thing. That's what they want. But they're going to do anything they can do to get that thing back.
His point too, though, was the criminalization and the stigmatization of it.
Well, that's
creates a self-perpetuating circle of.
All you can think about is that you want this one thing, but if it's freely given to you, you really don't want it as much.
Well, no, but it isn't just that. It's that by doing it, you're being looked down on society.
Yeah.
You're doing something illegal, and you're being constantly harassed, or you're having to deal with dealers and stuff. All of these things are making your life miserable.
Right.
And when you're miserable, you want to do more heroin to get out of that misery.
Yeah. I see. Yes.
So the way to get people off of heroin is to improve their lives.
Right.
So it was interesting, but he goes in that whole history too, and that's obviously an extreme example with heroin, but I mean, I'm not comparing heroin to marijuana because it's not the same thing at all. It makes no sense. But there's this whole thing too with heroin. It's, if somebody for whatever reason gets to a point in their life where they're doing heroin, they're horrible criminals and everybody looks down on them in our society, right? But
to a point,
you go into a doctor's office and you have pain for a knee operation, and they give you heroin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're feeding you a bunch of stuff. So none of that had to do with comic books or what we talk about.
We don't only have to talk about comic books.
We do.
I hear about it all the time from people. They're like, you guys need to talk about other stuff than comic books.
Do you know how much stuff we talk about, Chris? We talk about so much stuff. Snarf Talk is based off of what we like.
This show is only going to be about heroin from now on.
100% about heroin. So
all heroin, all the time.
Let's talk about heroin.
No,
I've
but
never done it, but I hear it's
back
good.
to the beginning of this. We were talking about Illinois legalizing marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
In January 1st, too. Like, really quickly.
Yeah, January 2020, right?
I was thinking about this today. Okay. So, obviously, your employer, if you work for a job, they can, just in the way that if you show up drunk for your job, you get fired. Just the way if you show up with high, you're going to get fired, right? So it's not legal, you still can't do it if you have a job, but the testing isn't there. So say on the weekend you do some pot,
right?
And you got it in your system, but you're totally sober on Monday when you go to work, but you get drug tested for whatever reason and you get fired, but you're doing a legal substance on your own time. But since there's this month lag in marijuana testing, how is that going? I feel like there's going to be immediately a big court case about that.
Probably.
Because
it's not federally legal, though.
Well, that's true. It's not.
So federally, it's not legal. So like in my case, since I work for a federal agency, nobody that works for us could ever do that because we will drug test. And if you fail it, you are failing a federal drug test.
Well, I just feel like most companies, if you work for them and if you fail a drug test, they're going to fire you.
It'll have to be, well, yeah, but they'll have to have some sort of like regulation out or a memorandum that says like our company will not, support anybody that does this, and this.
But
they have to have
do
something
that with
legally.
alcohol. You can't, as a company, be like...
You can absolutely have a memorandum that says you cannot show up to work with a blood alcohol content of...
But I'm not saying show up for work. If a company came out and said, when you're not working on Saturday, you cannot drink. If we find out that you drink, you're fired.
No, but if you show up to work with a blood alcohol content of X, you will be fired.
But the same
with drugs.
But that's different because your blood alcohol... It is because there's like a month lag in marijuana in your system when
but you
you're
can't
not
take into body processes into consideration.
Well, I'm saying
it's
you
all
should
into
have
how
to.
your body processes the supplement. So
If you smoke pot on Saturday, you're not high on Monday,
no, I know, but if
but it's still in your system.
you're right. Yeah. But if you drink at 8:00 at night and you go to work at midnight,
Well, that's completely different.
it's only you're talking about hours.
It's testing. That's the only thing is alcohol leaves your system immediately, within hours.
Yes.
Marijuana deposits. You're not high, but some aspect of that molecule stays in your body.
You're still taking into consideration like a time frame. So like a doctor that's on surgery could have one beer at 9 p.m. and be called in at 10 p.m. and still have that blood alcohol content of having one beer. And someone would say like, I don't want you to operate on me because you had a beer 1 hour ago.
Right, I get that, but he is under the influence of that alcohol at that point.
Even 2 hours
If
ago.
you smoked pot a week ago, you're not under the influence anymore.
No, I understand that. But even like 2 hours, if you did 2 hours and somebody was drinking whiskey, if they came in and said, I drank whiskey 2 hours ago, you'd be like, I don't want you to operate on me.
Well, of course not, because you're still under the influence.
You're not after 2 hours. No, you're not.
If you have a blood alcohol content of anything above 0, you're under the influence of alcohol.
If it's still in your system, I consider it under the influence then.
But it's not, though.
But it's still in your system. You could feel completely fine.
You could have marijuana from a month ago in your hair follicles. Yes.
A hair follicle test is not what we're talking about. We're talking about like just a regular like piss test.
But it stays in your system for like a month.
Well, I get it, but that's the risk you take. Like you can't change that.
But your body is not metabolizing that at that point. It's just like the residual. They're going to need better testing is what's going to have to happen.
Yeah, the testing will have to change. But you can't change the regulation as of like right now because of a time frame on how your body like processes things. I don't think you can do it.
I think they're gonna have to.
At some point they're gonna have to, but
somebody is gonna get fired for doing something on their own personal time, and then they're gonna sue, and it's gonna go to Supreme Court.
It won't be like a time frame change. It'll be a testing change, like you said. Like you'll have to change the way testing is done, or figure out a better way of testing.
I think what you'll find out is most companies will just stop testing for it. Probably. Yeah. The issue, it comes down to insurance. Because
for private companies,
they don't really care. Their main concern is from the insurance company saying, was an accident happen? Oh, look at it. He had pot in his system.
Right. They're going to have to figure that. That's the thing they're going to have to figure out is like how you work around. Well, insurance companies are going to have to do it too. Like you're going to have to work around how the testing is done, the time frame on when the testing is done, like what is legal.
Very inadequate, the testing at this point.
Oh, at this point, yes, because it's always been illegal. So if you saw any trace of it,
right,
you're screwed. It doesn't matter.
I wonder if you can tell potency in a drug test.
I don't know.
Like, can you tell if somebody smoked pot yesterday versus 3 weeks ago?
So, like hair follicle tests, like you were talking about earlier, you probably could, within that like hair. You know what I mean? Like, because there's, it sounds weird, but I feel like there's like rings, right? Like there's rings in your hair.
I don't think your hair is like trees. No,
I think it is.
Well, it's just the closest to your scalp is the newest hair.
So I know, but it would have to be in some sort of formation, which would be like a ring.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't think so, but I'll go with it.
I think it is. I
don't think you got tree rings.
I think you count the rings and you find out how old you are.
Well, what if you don't have hair?
Oh, you're dead then.
Well, there's bald people. They exist.
They're dead to me. All of them. But I think I really do think that's a thing, like where you could see, like, because if somebody like smoked it, like a bunch of weed or did a bunch of heroin or whatever, like it would show up more so in their hair at
I
that
think
point.
heroin
than it
goes
would
out of
be-
your system quick like alcohol.
Does it?
Yeah, the only one that really sticks around is pot.
Marijuana?
And it's because some form of that molecule attaches to like the fat cells in your body.
So don't be fat. That's easy.
Well, everybody has fat cells. You know that?
Oh, that's true too.
Everybody has about the same amount of fat cells. The difference is the size of those fat cells.
Oh, mine are getting larger. Turns out.
But I always thought, when you got fat, you got more fat cells. But I don't think that's the case.
Right. That's what I would have.
The cells get
assumed.
larger.
Okay.
Anyway, listen to that podcast because he's got some good stories of like the crazy cartel stuff. He talks for hours about like the insanity of these cartels in Mexico and how it's pretty much, obviously it's all driven by drugs, but
everyone kind of assumes
like we had
Mexico is driven by drugs,
this program in the US where we trained like an elite task force of Mexican people, like trained them like Navy SEALs to be like drug enforcement.
Okay.
We brought them over here. We spent $250 million training these guys in the United States over years to the point up like Navy SEALs, right?
Yeah.
We sent them back into Mexico. Within 1 week, they all defected to the cartels. Every single one of them.
Really?
After spending $250 million, yeah.
Holy crap. How's that happen?
And then, like, remember that whole thing,
But
Fast and Furious? You remember the Fast and Furious thing? Remember what that was? It was during the Obama administration. The United States government sold a bunch of guns directly to cartels in Mexico.
okay.
Like tons of guns, right? And the point of it was that they were going to sell these guns to the cartels and then track the guns.
Okay. Yeah.
Like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of guns. And like nobody got arrested for that or like.
I mean, how could you if you're legally selling them?
I mean, the American government gave these guns to them.
That's what I mean. Like, who's going to get arrested for that?
Well, because there was a whole thing of like kickbacks to like arms companies and it was a crazy thing. But I want to be in that meeting where somebody goes, I got an idea, guys. Let's give $100 million worth of assault rifles to Mexican cartels and we'll trace them. Like the crime went up exponentially after that gun sale in Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they all had new weapons to use.
It's
like
insanity.
that makes sense.
This is all like trillions of dollars spent on this drug war. Trillions.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
That's just
And everybody knows it's been a failure.
the drug war.
Everybody. But it continues.
Yeah. The war on drugs.
Because
it's
of the
like
status
every
quo.
week.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, when you say the words like the war on drugs, everyone says like, well, yeah, I want people to stop doing drugs. But they don't really think about what's happening,
right?
Like, or what's going on with that.
And the very idea, if you really sit down and think about it, the very idea of criminalizing drug users makes no sense.
Right.
Criminalizing drug sellers? Okay.
Yeah.
But for a person to be a user of a drug, why are they being put in jail for 10, 20 years?
Yeah.
Because they used a drug, because their life was miserable and they thought they needed it to escape their problems.
What about drug thinkers? Like if a guy thought about making or selling a drug.
That's the next thing. That's like the thought police. That's coming, man.
It is.
They're going to police our thoughts.
They live inside of our head.
The dream police inside our head.
I'm glad you heard that. I'm glad you got it. I want to talk about some news besides heroin and drugs and marijuana.
Okay.
But yes, Illinois, January 2020.
Yeah.
Weed legal.
You won't use it though.
No, I can't. I federally can't.
I won't use it either.
Uh-huh.
I will not. I have a commercial driver license, which is also a federal license.
Really? And that's restricted.
Oh, yeah.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Huh. You do have a CDL.
Yep.
Well, that sucks. Where do I start? with my news. I really don't have like a huge amount of news.
I have
but there's some things
no
that
news
I just want to talk about
because I have not been engaging with the world
or been alive
for the last 2
I mean,
weeks.
you haven't even been living, basically. You haven't been
My family
living-
was super thrilled when I'm like, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks, but I'm doing a podcast tonight.
You didn't have to, and I gave you the option to get out of it.
I got right off the sprayer. I walked in here to do a podcast. So.
Right. I'm sure Marley's happy with me. Sorry. I saw her earlier. She seemed fine.
She said she didn't care. So
She was making
this
a lot
is
of...
after everybody goes to bed. So
It is. You're right. And after you haven't seen them ever.
I need to watch them sleep.
Okay, so, gosh, there's this one thing that I want to talk about ties into what I'm watching,
Okay.
but it's also news.
Okay.
So can we just combine
Yes.
what I'm watching with this one episode or one show and the news
Yeah.
for this one moment?
Sure.
Do I get a pass on that?
Yeah.
You're sure?
I'm 100%.
I don't want you to be mad at me.
Nope.
Okay. Swamp Thing.
All right. I knew I was going to talk about that because I have, even though I have been no time, I have made time to watch Swamp Thing because
You've watched it?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I made time
Good,
to
good,
watch
good,
it because
good.
I knew you wanted to talk about it. I even made Marley watch it.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. 2 episodes in.
And you watch both?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I watched both. I got
so
home
proud
at
of
like
you.
2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, well, I better watch Swamp Thing.
I want you to talk about it first. And go.
You want my opinion?
I do.
Thus far?
Yeah.
All right. Swamp
Episodes
Things.
1 and 2.
Not really spoilers ahead because there's nothing really to spoil at this point.
Besides, there's a swamp and a thing comes out of it.
I guess if you have no idea, we're not going to break down the basics, so I'm just going to give my opinion of it so far.
Okay.
So things I really like about the Swamp Thing show. One, the production value seems
the
insanely
roof.
high. Very,
Yes.
very good.
Through the roof. It's very good.
Very good. So I did get. I think I know what your news is going to be, but anyway, they had built in North Carolina where they built an actual swamp inside
Inside
for
of
the
a
show
studio.
for a massive amount of money because obviously it would be so hard to actually film in a real swamp filled with alligators.
And what movie star or whatever, like actor ever, could you get to like swim around in an actual swamp?
Right.
Like, I don't want to.
I don't know if I necessarily believe about the show, like the amount of driving around on boats in the swamp that goes on. I don't know if that really
So
occurs.
far, it's a lot.
It's like they're all just like jumping in boats all the time, driving around the swamp, and I'm like, does this really happen?
They're like, I see lights over there. Let's drive a boat over there.
Yeah, it's like, is the swamp like their primary mode of transportation from
feel
point
like
A to
it's-
point B? I
it's
don't think
not.
so. But in this show, it seems like that is the case. They're like kids jumping in boats, like, I gotta go over to the store. I gotta get in the swamp.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But anyway, so I like the production value a lot. I
very
think the
good.
acting has been very good.
Yeah.
One thing that did surprise me because I wasn't sure how it would be, but I think like the dialogue has been very good. Like specifically, I've noticed the dialogue, especially with like Alec Holland. Well, I wasn't crazy about the actor,
The actor wasn't,
but he
didn't
had some
strike me
good
for anything.
lines. There's one line that he has when he was leaving for the last time from that lab, and he is like walking down the stairs. And he says something. I can't remember what it was, but I noted it. I'm like, that was a good line. It was smart. It was witty. So that was good. And I like the in the first 2 episodes, there honestly were a couple like where I jumped.
Yes.
That were
absolutely.
very shocking.
There are a lot of
Jump scares.
jump scares, and they use a lot of like body, horror.
Yeah.
Basically. It's all body horror because the swamp is taking over bodies.
Yeah.
Like people. It's taking people over. And the very first episode where they go to find that guy in his house, and
Yeah. That was
creepy.
creepy.
This is like a spoiler of the first episode, but the guy is literally in his home, but there's roots growing completely out of him, all over and directly out of his mouth. He's basically like suspended by roots in his own home.
What about the last episode
against
where
the
that
wall.
guy's literally vaporized like torn to
That's
pieces.
what I wanted to get at. But that's by the Swamp Thing.
Yeah, that's by Swamp
So
Thing.
that's by Swamp Thing.
Of course, I don't think he understands his powers.
No,
at this point.
he's trying to figure out his powers. He doesn't know how to like control them, and he literally like screams. Well, so there's a mute period of Swamp Thing, like, and that's in the comic books. There's a mute period, and this is where it kind of deviates because Abby Arcane has always been able to communicate with Swamp Thing, like regardless of speech. She's always known like his feelings and felt them. They're using that little girl as that part of that.
Yeah,
so there's a little girl that
connection.
is feeling what Swamp Thing feels and understands what he's going through because she always talks about how scared he is.
Yeah.
And so in the comic book, Abby Arcane could feel all of that and knew all of that of Alec Holland. And so the little girl's feeling that. But anyway, like there's a mute period where he doesn't have a mouth. He can't speak. And they do that in the show, but they just kind of visually show you that he doesn't have a mouth.
Yeah.
And then when he goes and fights a guy that's going to hurt this girl that he has
A weird actor.
Yeah,
that was
very weird.
odd.
I felt like they were going off of the Daryl of Walking Dead. Like he kind of looked like Daryl.
Yes,
like
he was
the
a weird
beginning
looking
Daryl.
dude.
Yeah.
And
he
not really
didn't-
believable about his
No.
like incredible horrendousness.
Yeah, like he hooked the guy through
Fuck
the
that
head.
guy, man. And then
out
he's
of
going after that little
nowhere.
girl, and he's walking through the swamp. He's like, "Come out, little girl. I ain't playing no hide and seek." And I'm like, who would say that?
Yeah, why would you say that right now? Like, why
He
are you,
just killed somebody. There's cops coming. He's chasing a little girl, and he's going, "I ain't playing no hide and seek."
My biggest problem was that
So that
as that's
dialogue was a
going
little
on,
hokey.
As that's going on, where did the black guy in the boat go?
He
There's
left. He
I know-
left to go get more of those things.
When did that happen? I missed that in
Well,
the episode.
The one guy that killed the dude is
All
like,
they
you
show
go.
you-
No, he says, you go get the rest of those things. I'm gonna sink this boat
Oh, okay.
and get
Okay,
rid of the
I
body.
missed that because I was like, where did he go? And all of these things are happening and nobody's paying attention to the guy on the boat.
That jump scare where the guy like isn't dead. That was a
Yeah.
little much.
You think so?
Yeah, it was a little much for me.
Where he like opened his eyes
Yeah.
when Abby got on the boat.
There's no need for it. So I'll tell you some of the things I don't like so far about
Okay.
Swamp Thing, the show. I did like that they make him Swamp Thing right away.
Yes.
So that's great.
Let me say that real quick is the number one thing I was worried
First
about.
episode.
Yeah. The number one thing I was worried about with Swamp Thing is that, and we had talked about it in a previous episode, that they were going to like hold off on showing you Swamp Thing and bringing him to life and taking Alec Holland and turning him into Swamp Thing. I thought they were going to push that off later in the episodes. They did not. Very first episode, by the end of it, boom, you see him come out of the swamp. Very pleased with that.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did it that way.
And he looks great. I mean, he looks just like the comics. I mean, really, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
The couple things I didn't really like is I feel like it has been a little slow at times, kind of boring at times. But that's how Doom Patrol started too. So I'm not too worried about that.
I don't know. I guess I'm just so excited about this show.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. I'm like so invested in every
Like
thing that's
Marley
going
is
on.
not into it. She's just like, it's just kind of boring.
Excuse me.
And I can kind of see that. I'm not crazy about this whole like the accelerants that they're putting in the swamp.
Yeah.
That's like a whole different thing that they're doing. Like this is all a chemical process.
Yes.
And I don't know if I'm crazy about that.
So yeah, I was just
I
explaining.
get
that to
it
Amy
totally.
last
I
night.
like how the bad guy's like, I'm trying to create monetization. And then later on, he's like, I want more vegetation to grow so we can develop the land
Yeah.
more. I get that. They've done a good job of making it make sense.
So,
but that's not what it is.
well, so in the saga of Swamp Thing, it's not that.
Right.
In the original Swamp Thing, there is that. there is a
There's a chemical explosion.
Yeah, that changes the swamp.
Yeah, okay.
So like they are going more Alan Moore style of Swamp Thing, where like the story is more based off of that, but there is a chemical reaction that happens in the swamp in the original Swamp Thing, but it doesn't tie together well. It's not the same characters. It doesn't.
Right.
It's not the same chemical reaction. It's not the same story, and I agree. I don't think it works well.
Like it doesn't seem to me that
Like,
they're giving nature or the plant life like a personification at this point. It's like a chemical reaction based on a human accelerant.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't seem like that nature has anything to do with it,
Right.
whatsoever. Like zero.
But we'll see. There's a lot more to go. There's like 13 episodes, right?
10.
10 episodes.
They cut it down. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, so that's a huge problem. That's probably what your news relates to. Well, let me get your pros and cons too. There was another con that I'm totally forgetting at this point. I do like that whole mystery surrounding what did she do to this Abby? What did she do to her friend?
Yeah.
And the guy, the rich couple.
Yep.
I like everything going on there. I like what they did with that voodoo lady.
Yes.
That was very
that
intriguing.
Was crazy.
And then her laying in bed with, like, she can see her dead. Oh, man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that was creepy.
Yes. This is like
That's a horror.
It is a horror show, and I don't like horror most of the time. But the way
But
this
not
is
horror.
doing it is
Yeah, it's
like,
more like creepy.
it is creepy. And like I said, it's like body horror in the beginning where you're seeing a lot of bodies like transformed by the swamp and the swamp's trying to figure out like what it's trying to
There's
do.
some amazing
really.
visuals. Like that guy that gets skewered and he's just like up in the air. Like,
Yeah. And the guy that they bring into the lab, even that it's a man,
oh, yeah.
and then it's like half of his body, and then like his head rips kind of to the side.
Incredible special effects.
Yeah, the special effects are very, very good, and they're doing like practical effects as well.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot of practical people laying there or whatever. But I don't know. I don't have much bad to say about it.
They did have this
honestly.
weird thing where, like, at the very beginning, it was like there was some sort of contagious disease going around. And then they've kind of abandoned that.
Well, I don't think they abandoned it. I think they were saying it was a contagious disease until they understood that it's the swamp that's infecting people.
Well, I just thought it was weird because at first, like,
But
there's
that's
people
the way
in
they're playing
quarantine, and then all of a sudden, no, they're not in quarantine anymore, or they are in quarantine, but they got doctors in there with no.
No, they had masks on.
In the last episode, he takes it off and he's talking to the girl. The one CDC doctor, not Abby Arcane.
He does take it off?
Yeah. So,
Guess I
like,
didn't
I'm
know
like,
that.
okay, so is it not contagious? Or they've
Right.
kind of abandoned the whole infectious disease aspect, which is fine. It's like they only did that for one episode
Yeah.
to introduce Abby Arcane as a CDC doctor.
That makes sense. Yeah. I could see where they would do that.
But then they brought in that cool, the creepy doctor that created the accelerant. That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Jason Woodrow.
That was a great scene when he meets, what's the old guy's name? Like the rich guy.
Shoot. It's not Anton. Because there's Anton Arcane is
It's
Abby's.
not that, yeah.
That's Abby's uncle. He's like the mad scientist. Shoot, what's the old guy? I don't know. He's a good character.
Yeah, he is. And that's a great scene because the stalkers, they pull up and he's walking up and the whole time he's like, this is just some rich guy. He gave me this money, but I'm not beholden to him. And then he walks up and there's this amazing scene with that actor who's been in everything. And I can't remember his name, but he's holding that golf club and he just turns on a dime and he's like, you better fix this fucking mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because he was blaming his chemical, obviously, which is his fault on what's going on. And the guy's like, well,
the guy gets so scared of him immediately.
This isn't my stuff.
It's great.
I gotta look him up. Who that is.
He does a great job. And then when he's with Abby in the house and he's like, oh, I missed you. You're my daughter. I mean, he's good, man. I'm not so sure about the wife. She's kind of annoying at this point, but
right now, but she's like super.
there's a lot that's going to happen there.
Yeah, let me look that dude up. Will Patton is Avery Sunderland.
Yeah,
'Cause
Avery
it's
Sunderland. Yep.
Sunderland Corps. That's the ones that's always like, even in the comic book, they've been dumping things in the swamp. Sunderland Corps. Yeah, that's
But
really
in this
cool.
case, instead of dumping like pollutants into the swamp,
It's like
they're like specifically putting like an accelerant in there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just weird because in one aspect, it's like, okay, I guess this swamp is personified because it's attacking people, but also it's not. So I don't know. There's a lot more to go, but I'm definitely intrigued. I'm enjoying it.
I like it a lot.
I thought the first 2 episodes were a bit slow. I'm hoping it picks up a little more.
I don't understand where you think it's slow, because you are introduced to the characters, you're introduced to the town, you're introduced to the problem that they're trying to solve, and then immediately at the end of a 55-minute show, you see the main character of Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
And then the second episode, you like catch up with one of the main characters after she's seen Swamp Thing, and she's still trying to figure out what's going on. You like see all of these things unfold, and then you see Swamp Thing like fight a person somewhat, because he's trying to figure out his ability still. And the girls with him, like, and then a guy's literally ripped in 9 pieces by roots.
One thing I did not buy was the like immediate
I don't feel like it's slow.
connection after those two meeting for like 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like, apparently they were in love.
They were flirting. I wouldn't call it in love.
Yeah, but
I think it got like propelled when in the second episode she was watching the video of him talk about her.
That was good. He's like, she's lovely.
Yeah, but then he kept saying like,
but she even says to her friend,
really lovely.
She even says to her friend, she's like, I really, really like him, or something like that. And I'm like, you just met the dude. I even said it out loud to Marlon. I'm like, she just met him.
Oh, really?
I thought it was odd.
I don't know. It didn't catch me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be completely biased on all of this.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted all of this to happen so bad. And which brings me to my next news.
Mm-hmm.
It's been canceled.
Yeah, well, we have already said that.
No, we haven't.
Yes.
Not tonight.
Well, no, not tonight, but we've said it before. We've known that for a while.
That's not true. It has not been canceled until recently. Like, we knew that they cut it down to 10 episodes from 13, and we knew that AT&T bought Warner Brothers.
But they told them to wrap it up into one season.
No, they didn't. They told them to wrap it up in 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Rather than 13.
Well, whatever. Anyway, it has been canceled, but that does not mean it won't come back.
It says they're not doing it.
Do you know why?
Why?
Okay. So what happened is, this is such a weird story. This show was very expensive to make.
Yeah,
okay?
apparently like
$80 million. All right. They were supposed to get a $40 million tax break from North Carolina or South Carolina, wherever.
North Carolina, yeah.
But that was 100% a clerical error. The secretary that wrote it down, it was supposed to be like $14 million, and she wrote $40 million, and they proceeded through the whole thing under the idea that it was $40 million.
Yeah.
And then they filmed the whole season, and they went back and they're like, okay, we need our $40 million tax break. And they're like, oh, that was a screw up. It was supposed to be $14 million. Sorry.
And they like ended up getting 12.
Yeah.
Something like that. They gave them 12 million.
Yeah.
Out of 80 million.
Right.
Like,
so
total.
they're like, oh, well, which if they have all the sets built and they have the studio and everything, and there's enough fan support, it totally can come back.
I know. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for the huge fan support to build this back up. Like, to make Warner Brothers and DC and whoever else needs to be involved. Like, AT&T is a freaking giant company. Like, they can afford to make this show. I don't feel like it could be a loss for them to make a show that is going to drive people to the app.
It needs to drive like 1 million subscribers.
I don't think that's hard.
That's
to
a lot of
reach.
subscribers, but that would only be for 1 year. If they continue after that, then they're in the positive. That's for 80 million. They could also bring the budget down in the future.
That's not including any other show.
Right. Not including any other show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But have you watched any Doom Patrol?
Are we going to what we're watching then?
Sure. I thought you were merging them.
Well, we were merging that one.
Okay. Well, then do
portion.
whatever news you got.
There's also
unless you got more Swamp Thing. Watch it.
I wanted
it's
to
worth
talk,
watching.
It is.
Subscribe to the app. This app is great.
I love it.
If you like,
I love it.
If you like good shows, because Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, and Titans are all very good shows. All right.
Yes.
If you were on the fence, you weren't sure if they were good shows, I'm telling you, they're good and they have great production value.
Yes. And the amount of content on this DC app is amazing.
If you at all are interested or even want to think about comic books, it's worth the price right there.
And animated shows, animated TV, like
animated
so many
movies.
different movies and TV shows and whatever. Like literally anything you can think of is on this.
Yeah. For $70 a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's incredible the amount of content you get. It is the best.
19 cents a day.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best app you can get at the moment.
I actually think, as far as streaming services go, it might be the best value.
Yeah, as of right now, it is.
Because Netflix has not been, I don't know.
Netflix is losing.
HBO, I would say,
Netflix is
great.
Losing its stuff, man.
Yeah, big time.
So Warner Brothers and AT&T are taking over stuff. Disney's going to take over its own stuff. You're gotta figure like is it Universal or
Universal.
Yeah, Universal's gonna
Paramount.
Have its own stuff.
I'm sure
Paramount's gonna have its own stuff. Like everybody's going to take their stuff back, and they might have some smaller production companies and whatnot on Netflix, but
basically Netflix
it's not going to be anything you want.
Their original content and stand-up comedy.
And they're going to have to make their own content like tenfold within the next 4 to 5 years.
Because on the movie front,
In the
HBO
long
is
shot.
blowing them out of the water.
Yes.
HBO also great, but it's $15 a month.
It is.
That's expensive.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal to a lot of people
like
to where
3 or 4 times more expensive than the DC app.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense to me. Right. I don't understand why.
It's got a lot of really good content on HBO.
But HBO's been that way forever.
Yeah. But
why do they have to be so expensive?
I would say, as far as the amount of good quality content right now, it's hard to beat HBO. But, Netflix has its couple shows. This DC app is great.
I think,
but you're talking about HBO. You're talking about, you got your, obviously Game of Thrones, Silicon Valley. Yeah, I mean, you got tons of stuff. The Deadwood stuff.
I think they're on par with every other streaming app because I don't think new audiences are going back to watch a lot of the stuff that's over with.
Yeah.
Like Sopranos, Deadwood.
No.
Like
it's all
stuff.
What's coming now. What's new?
Like
what do you got for me now?
Nobody's going back to that.
But HBO's making and producing a ton of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely they are. And a new Deadwood movie came out May 31st.
And I do enjoy Last Week Tonight, even though it's like super biased. That's John Oliver's show on that.
Yeah, I've never watched it.
I enjoy it. It's funny. He's really funny. It's just really biased.
Yeah, John Oliver's really funny, but I don't think it's just so biased to me that I couldn't watch it. It's the same with Stephen Colbert. They're like the same person.
Stephen Colbert is like off, but like it can't. He's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't John Oliver like exactly the same?
But way funnier.
Really?
Yeah, way funnier. It's a funny show.
You think so?
It doesn't bother me. Like, first of all, I'm not a political person, but if I don't agree at all with the politics, it does not bother me. If it's funny,
it's fun.
I'll still watch it.
Either way, it's
I'll
funny.
still laugh. Like, I watched Jim Jeffries' show. I enjoy it. I think he's really funny. Super, super, super left wing, but I still think he's funny. That's on Comedy Central. You don't have that.
I don't. I don't have that. No, I don't.
Anyway, what more news you got?
There was a new trailer that came out
I probably have not seen it.
it was like, it wasn't this week, but it was last week, I believe. And it involves your buddy, Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, yeah? Is he my buddy?
Yeah, he is tonight.
Hey, what are you going to do?
Hey. Oh, what's the
You got a bad start there.
Yeah, what's the
Adrian! Yo, Adrian!
Oh, that's brisk, baby. That's what I was thinking of. Brisk iced tea.
Yeah.
Do you remember those commercials?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The claymation?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they were so cool.
They were good.
If you guys don't remember claymation brisk iced tea commercials, you're missing out. Look
One of
them
my
up.
favorite movies of all time is a Sylvester Stallone movie.
Over the top.
No.
Cliffhanger.
No.
Let's think. Expendables.
No.
Expendables 2.
Never seen any Expendables.
Me
so.
either.
No, it's First Blood. Rambo, First Blood.
Rambo, huh? Well, there's a trailer that just came out called Rambo Last Blood.
Yeah, I know they're making a new one.
Yeah. Last Blood.
Is it good?
I was like, come on, guys. Couldn't you have thought of a better title?
First Blood is one of the best movies ever made.
It is. It's so good. And I like the fact that they're tying it into the first one, and I understand, like...
That was the only good one, in my opinion.
This is the last movie. I get it. So the premise of this, as you watch the trailer, he's living on his own in a farm. I don't know if it's in Mexico or southern Texas.
Seems on brand.
Yeah, he's just like farming on his own,
Struggling
by himself.
His demons.
It doesn't look like he's got any demons at all in the trailer. It looks like he's just doing his own thing, right? And then trouble finds him.
It always does, man.
It does. And I don't. So I watched this like 2 weeks ago, and I wrote it down to talk about. But the problem is, I watched it 2 weeks ago, so I don't remember 100% of why he's fighting these people. But I know a lot of people come after him while he's on this ranch, and it's a lot of Rambo-isms on the ranch, and it looks good. And I'm going to see it.
Oh, I will definitely.
Absolutely going to see this.
First Blood versus the other Rambo movies, okay? Those were just like kind of generic action-y movies.
Yeah.
First Blood was like, it wasn't like a super action-y movie. It was like very drama
like
and like
PTSD oriented.
PTSD. Yeah, it was
big time.
It was deep, man.
It's extremely deep, and I think it resonates to a lot of like veterans or people that are struggling with that stuff like today, because it's something that wasn't talked about throughout the whole Vietnam era, especially because nobody in Vietnam, like as they came back and were struggling with whatever they saw or did or had to do or whatever, or even just the transition from being deployed to living at home, like that's a hard thing to go through. And a lot of people go through it, and nobody understood that.
I think it was crazy is like when those guys came back from the Vietnam War, they like weren't supported not just by the nation, they weren't supported by like veterans groups. So like a lot of them were not allowed to be in the American Legion and the VFW and stuff like that, because those were all run by these older World War II vet guys.
Yeah.
And they didn't respect them or that war or any of that.
Which is insane.
And then what happened is that nobody joined those organizations.
Right.
And then those guys got super old, and then they started to dwindle. Now it's changed, and like obviously those organizations are all dominated now by Vietnam vets. For the most part, I would assume.
But the only reason for that is because it kind of switched, like
because all those old guys died.
Yeah, because of all the old people that died from the like World War II in Korea.
But when they got older and there was nobody in the organizations, they're all like, "Well, what's going on? Why is nobody in these organizations?" Well,
because they were shunned.
Because you shunned them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's 100% right. That is what I've been told by many Vietnam vets that I know.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. And that's what Rambo does well.
Yeah.
Like John Rambo was a shunned Vietnam vet that just has a lot of skills. And he can teach you those skills if you want him to, or he can show you the skills he has, and you can receive them in and basically by dying. For some reason, it does look like he has like a very strange amount of guns.
Yeah.
Like he's got like an inordinary amount of guns like that are just laying around to his like use.
Yeah.
But that doesn't surprise me for Rambo.
No.
The song, what was the song? It's like shoot.
Gangsta's Paradise.
No, Nate texted me and thought it was funny that they immediately put this song out. It's like a recent song that is like kind of hip hop-ish
Okay.
that they play right off the bat. He thought it was funny. Didn't catch my attention because I don't care about that. But I don't know. It looks good. I'm definitely going to watch it. It looks like a Rambo movie. It just amazes me that this man is like 75 years old and still doing this stuff.
Yeah.
He's like legit 75, dude.
He looks great too.
Like he looks
He doesn't look 75. He's still pretty jacked.
right. And there's a reason for that.
Steroids.
Yes. He's like completely roided out and he had to have had plastic surgery.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Like completely on his face.
I gotta get me some of them roids, man.
I need to
Roid
like,
up.
He's had a face stretch.
Yeah.
Like a stretch of your face. Like they're taking your skin and stretching it. Like so bad.
Yeah.
Like so bad. I don't understand why this is accepted in normal livelihood. Why are people thinking like it's okay to stretch your face out?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because you're old.
Joe Rogan's always talking about he takes testosterone.
Yeah.
And he just nonstop is talking about how amazing it is. Because as you get older, you stop producing as much testosterone.
Low T.
But I don't know that he has low T, but he just takes it as a supplement, basically.
Where do you just get testosterone? I thought that was like a regulated thing through your doctor.
Yeah, you probably got to get it from your doctor, I would imagine.
So I got to go to my doctor now and be like, hey,
TRT, man.
I need some tea.
Testosterone Replacement Therapy, they call it.
I need some tea.
I mean, we're both young enough and virile. We probably don't need TRT.
So hard all the time. Is
but,
that what that means?
But when you're 55 years old, maybe that's when you start taking
I'm
it.
positive I'll just be erect all the time.
I don't think
Is that what we're talking about?
No, I don't think that's all it's for or what it's all for.
Oh.
I don't think it's necessarily like a sexual thing.
What about after 4 hours?
After 4.
So should I be worried?
I don't know.
Because I've been on a solid 7 today.
I don't know.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
No. I think it's completely normal as a 32-year-old man. 7 hours erect?
I don't know.
Yes,
Can't comment.
Yeah, well, it's because you're around chemicals all day.
It probably is.
You're chemically castrated.
I've been thinking about
like Michael Jackson.
The dangerousness of these chemicals that I deal with on a daily basis.
Why?
Kind of worries me.
Why?
I don't know.
So safe. You can drink glyphosate.
There's a lot of
there's
a lot of these lawsuits going on, man.
But there's a dude from U of I, a professor, who used to drink it in his class.
He's probably dead.
He's dead now. I don't know. I don't know if he is or not.
Yeah,
I know that's a thing though.
I don't. There's kind of I've always been firmly in the camp that it's this, and it might be one of the safest chemicals we can and have ever had the opportunity to use. But there is some real evidence that it's an antibacterial glyphosate.
It is?
Yeah. So
I can wash my hands of that?
I don't know if this is true. So don't quote me on this.
Where'd you get it from?
Probably crazy sources.
Oprah?
I think I actually was reading an article in Scientific American.
Dr. Phil?
So there's a side property to it.
Fox News?
That's antibacterial, right? And can affect your gut biome, which is an issue.
Autism.
I don't know about.
No, that's like a legit study that they did.
Yeah.
And they were saying that like your gut bacteria affects that.
It doesn't cause it, but
no.
Yes.
You can regulate it.
I know. People,
help it.
Autistic people have digestive issues.
Yeah,
and that's a fact.
And you can regulate like how their autism is affected by their diet.
Yes,
and
diet's a huge factor.
Yeah,
But another scientist I was listening to on Joe Rogan was talking about autism and how they've like made huge strides into understanding what it comes from.
Sure.
And they think it's a defect in utero. Actually, it's
Really?
it's actually. I mean, that's what the current research is suggesting, that it actually happens in the womb.
Did they say like what that
Yes,
is?
but I can't remember.
Oh my gosh, you're leaving out the best part.
I don't know if it was genetic or there was a genetic component, but it had something to do with.
That's like me talking about Rambo and being like, I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah,
I think Rambo exists.
I don't
Come
know.
on, get after it.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. I can't keep them all straight.
And you don't remember anything about any of them.
Yeah, I'm running out. I'm back
Who
like
are you?
going through libraries.
You
It's an
haven't
issue.
listened to.
Have you heard much about the new X-Men movie?
Not good.
It's getting really bad
It
reviews. Is it
is.
out in theaters yet? Or
Yeah.
it
has been for over a week.
Oh, I had no idea.
I think this Friday will be 2 weeks that it's been
Are
out.
you going to go see it? I would love to go see it.
I want to.
I really
want
wanna
to
see
so
it.
bad, but it is getting such bad reviews.
I hope
They're
it sticks
saying
around
that-
for like 2 more weeks in theaters so I can go see it.
But they're saying that it has strayed so far from.
23% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's bad. Is
Wow.
that critic or
Wow.
personal
Wow.
reviews?
64% audience score.
Okay.
Okay, so
Well,
critics suck.
Yeah, critics do suck. They suck. But I've heard it's just strayed so far from what the comic book was and what Jean Grey really is.
Yeah,
That it's been a huge issue with a lot of fans, which doesn't surprise me at all.
Why do they do that though?
Exactly.
Why do they stray?
Why would you ever do that?
That is one of the most beloved.
You know why? It's because it's the last. They knew it was going to be the last movie.
Not when they started making it.
I'm sure they did.
Not when it was written. I guarantee.
There's inside sources, dude.
Dude.
They phoned it in.
I'm trying to find. Oh, Dark Phoenix.
They found out that all of that stuff was going away, and they're like, "Let's phone it in."
Well,
we got
it still made
30% of it.
$136 million worldwide in a week. So
Yeah, but I don't think that covered any of the budget.
the budget was. It doesn't say what the
200
budget was.
million. I guarantee you, minimum 200 million. That doesn't take in marketing costs.
Probably.
I mean,
Anyway.
it's not profitable.
Did you see
Can't
there
be.
was a leak? This is some news. I was reading. There was a leak that released the upcoming Marvel movies.
No.
It wasn't like super good leak.
Does that have to do with shoot? I can't think of her name. Died.
Who?
Scarlett Johansson. Black Widow.
No, but
Okay.
that's the first one coming is a Black Widow movie.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's set in the past.
It is, and it's in production.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It was kind of what you thought. Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2. There's going to be another Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, and the Eternals, which we had been rumored.
Yeah. So they were talking about Keanu Reeves being a part of this.
They were. And then a new Avengers team. A whole new Avengers team.
Okay. From all of those
Yeah.
people. I'm down.
I'm down.
I'm like 100% down, especially if Keanu Reeves is involved. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I like that dude. That dude.
What other news you got, Jerry?
Well, news-wise, really nothing. I found out that Darkwing Duck is getting a remake.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because that new DuckTales show is pretty good.
Oh, see, I haven't seen that.
It's been on for a couple of years.
Apparently, Disney is taking Darkwing Duck and not making it so much of a Batman parody.
Oh,
It's going to be like its own thing.
that's fine. Do you remember the
don't-
theme song?
Darkwing Duck, let's get dangerous.
Darkwing Duck. Better watch out, you bad guys, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
They just need to redo Tailspin, and we're all good.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Tailspin.
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 Oh, Tailspin. Oh, Tailspin. Friends for life, food thick and thin, with another tailspin. Ba-ba-da-ba.
Oh,
Ba-da-ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da,
And then
ba-ba-da-da.
Me and Mr. Olson used to sing that song in chorus.
But the new DuckTales show is pretty good.
If you spin it, 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 spin it.
Yeah, Darkwing Duck's coming back, and I used to be obsessed with Darkwing Duck when I got home from school.
Same.
I used to watch him all the time.
Loved that show.
Loved the show, and I want to see it. I'm looking at a picture of it on my computer, and it's bringing back huge amounts of nostalgia. I want to watch it right now. Turns out, I
don't have my laptop, so you're going to hear a lot of key clacking.
Yeah. It just says, however, with DuckTales reboot finally bringing Darkwing back into the fold, he's received a new origin that reframes the vigilante as something more than a playful spin on the Dark Knight. So, yeah. I don't know what he's going to be. Hopefully he has the same costume and outfit. And I'm
sure.
Hoping
I hope they do that animation style that they're doing DuckTales in, because that's a really cool animation style.
Really? I haven't seen the new DuckTales. I need to check that out. But
I haven't watched a lot of it, but
news-wise, that's all I got.
Okay. Well,
you got anything?
No, I don't know anything.
Okay.
I already talked about heroin.
Oh, that's
all
right.
I know.
That's basically all you know about.
Yeah.
Is heroin. Okay, that's great. So I want to talk about watching things.
What are you watching?
Well, we already talked about Swamp Thing.
Yes.
I think it's amazing. I really don't have that much bad to say about it. I
would say I don't
think it's
enjoying
boring.
it. I'm not ready to say amazing.
I am.
But again, the first
I'm
couple
jumping
episodes of Doom Patrol, I didn't think were amazing, and then it got to be one of my favorite shows of all time.
So I have started watching Doom Patrol.
Yes.
And I'm 11 episodes in.
Oh, is that for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've watched most of it. There's 15, I think.
Yeah, there is. So I've watched 11 episodes.
Wow, you've really been binging.
Oh, boy. Have I ever. I've watched a lot of things, Chris, and I've had a lot of late nights watching shows.
Awesome.
Doom Patrol, I watched a lot of right off the bat, and so I didn't think that the first few episodes were that boring.
Yeah, okay.
I thought they were really good. There was a couple that I thought it was like, what was it, like 5 and 6, somewhere in there, that I thought were pretty boring because I felt like they just kept going back.
I
to
totally.
the characters.
I said that too.
I was like, man, why are you doing this?
The story starts progressing, and then it's a flashback episode, and you're like, come on.
What was aggravating me is now I can't remember her name. Damn it, the blob lady, Elastigirl.
I can't remember her name either.
It's not Elastigirl, but
Rita Farr.
Yeah, Rita Farr.
Rita Farr.
Yeah, she's a 1950s actress.
I really liked her.
She's such a great
character,
and her actress is really good, or actor. They all are actors now. I just didn't like the fact that so far throughout the show, like that far into the show, she was like that incapable of controlling anything.
Yeah.
Like to the point of where she'd like fall down a drain, basically.
Right.
You know, she couldn't even keep herself together. Like at this point, I felt like, all right, come on.
Yeah.
Like you've already done this.
It's clear
you've shown us that
for season 2.
What about season 2?
Well, I just feel like the season 1 is about them getting in control.
Yeah, I would agree, but it was like you had already showed us like 3 episodes earlier that she couldn't control this. She was a blob rolling down the street within the first 2 episodes, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, we got that. So why bring it back up? You know, like you can flash back as much as you want and show us like them being incapable of control, but in the real world on a daily basis, being unable to control what you're doing, like to that extent, I felt like, come on. Like, there's better story here than that. You know, like you could have
valid
like dove into something a little bit better.
She does control it once.
She does, and is that it? Like that's it. That's the only time you see it, when she stretches her arm out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's aggravating. Like, that's really aggravating.
She
But
finds a new source of power towards the end.
I'm telling you, like, between Jane and Cliff, Robot Man, he's a good character.
Hell yeah, man. Brendan Fraser.
So when I first heard you talk about this robot guy, I didn't think much of him. I was like, he sounds ridiculous. The way you explained his suit, you know, like, it just sounded like kind of like an offshoot of the story, not as much of being a main character. Holy crap, is he a main character?
Oh,
and
yeah.
is he freaking awesome? I love him. At some points I got a little bit annoyed because, you know, he's trying to figure things out, like we've talked about, but his is more warranted because he's just a brain.
Yeah.
And he's literally trying to figure out, like, all right, my brain's remembering things and I don't know what we're doing. Like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know my body.
It's similar to with Cyborg in that show, whereas when he first comes out, he's kind of a shallow character.
Yes.
But then he gets really good.
Yes.
And you really start to like him.
He really does. And he does.
All of the characters.
He does say the
like
F
that.
word a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's like warranted in his position because he's literally saying, like, what the fuck?
Right.
What am I? What's going on? Where am I at? What's happened? You've lied to me. I've lied to you. You're like, it's just so much back and forth between that character and everyone else. I love him. And then, of course, Jane, the lady that has 64 different personalities. Wow. Like,
Yeah.
that actress better get an award.
Yeah, I told you.
Somehow, some way. If we have to write a
So
petition.
what's happening in 11?
So I'm going into 11. I
Okay.
finished 10, I should say. So I finished 10. That was the beard one.
Oh, okay.
The guy, what's his name?
The Beard
It's like-
Hunter.
Yeah, the beard hunter. So that's the one I finished recently, like last night.
Well, the best 5 episodes are in front of you.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
definitely.
The beard hunter one is one of my favorites. I didn't really care for the whole Neil. Isn't his name Neil? Right? Niles, like the chief guy
Yeah.
that they're all looking for to begin with. I didn't care for his story with the lady in the cave.
Oh my god, that was one of my favorite episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
It didn't, like, it was okay, but it was kind of annoying. I wanted to know more about the beard guy.
Did you do the one where he goes into Jane's head?
Who does?
Cliff.
Yeah, that's that.
That's a good one.
The one before that is that one.
Okay.
And then the next one is the beard one. But
Okay.
yeah, the one before that is
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Jane Patrol.
Yeah.
Because everything is patrol.
Yeah. Something.
So every
patrol.
episode is it's Jane Patrol and then it goes Hair Patrol.
Yeah.
And Hair Patrol is the beard hunter guy.
He's got
He-
some good stuff in the
Dude,
end too.
that guy is
He's great.
really, really funny. I like that character a lot.
He's got more great stuff later.
But even like in that episode when he goes to the it's in the beginning, his mom's yelling at him and he goes to the supermarket and there's that old guy like in the supermarket and he gets like real up close to him
Yeah.
looking at his beard and he's like, and then he says something about peaches, like canned peaches are no good or whatever it was. But it's just, it all works off of facial expression between the old man and him.
Yeah.
Just staring at his beard. In that moment, I was like, this dude is really fucking out there.
Did you have the
Like, he is out there.
Danny the Street episode yet?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's gone. That one's before the Jane episode. So
Yeah.
that was like 3 episodes ago.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. It is really good because they tie the beginning and end of that story together
Yes.
really, really well.
And the guy, the agent that becomes
That's the beginning and end of that story that I'm talking
he
about.
is great too. in that.
Yeah, he's so good. And when I first saw his character after the fact, like transitioned basically,
Yeah.
there, like as soon as I saw him, I was like, that's that agent.
Yeah, he
Like, they don't
becomes like
say
a
it.
he becomes like a drag queen.
Yeah, and they don't say it, but you can
I didn't get that.
you like as soon as I saw him, I'm like, that's that agent guy. Like I think that's that agent guy.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, obviously that comes out. But that's really cool. That's a really cool episode. Everything about this show is so good, and I don't think so. You said like some of the special effects aren't very good, like the robot costume. I think it's awesome.
Well, the special
it's
effects
played-
get way better as it goes along. Like they're really good.
But I think it's played off that way. It's
that's what I
played that
said.
way on
Yes.
purpose.
Yes,
you know?
I agree.
And then you're right. Cyborg is a bit to be desired. Like you can clearly see it's like a plastic piece on his face.
But you look
they didn't
past
blend that in well. But yeah, you do look past it. It's like none of this stuff you really dwell on as a problem in any of the show because the whole thing feels like it's meant to be that way.
I know, exactly.
It feels meant to be that way.
Yeah.
And like the Robot Man, when you were saying like it feels like a guy just literally in a suit, like talking inside of a suit. He didn't bother me in the slightest. Like he is my favorite character. Him and Jane. Jane is just.
Did you get the one
can't.
from Mr. Whiskers or whatever yet?
No.
The mouse or the rat?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he hasn't come up yet. This is a wild show.
You got
and
5
everybody.
amazing episodes ahead of you.
So, one guy that you said that would like this show, Tony,
Yeah.
I believe he just bought my old house.
No, that's his brother.
Oh, his brother.
His younger brother. Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Tanner.
Okay, I was always told Tony bought it. I was like, what the heck?
No.
Oh,
Tanner bought it.
well, Tanner, if you listen to this episode,
I don't think he does.
Well, you need to because I can help you out with your house. I
Okay.
can tell you all the secrets about that house.
Anyway, so
Anyway,
I'm glad
yeah.
that you're loving this show
Doom Patrol is
because it's
very
legitimately
good.
one of my favorite shows of all time at this point.
that's unreal.
You don't.
It's unreal that it gets that much better. Like I love it. I think it's a great show. I don't think I would put it on my all-time favorites at the moment.
Yeah, it gets
Like
really good.
all-time favorites in like what rank? Are we talking like 1 through 10 or are we talking like does it reach top 5?
No, probably not top 5, but I put it in the top 25,
Okay. I would agree. I think I would agree with that.
top 20 maybe. Top. I don't know about top 10, but
I think it does
I'd probably go top 10.
even though I complain about the like the flashbacks and like all of that kind of stuff. I think the character development that they've done and the amount of episodes that they've had is incredible.
Let me just say this because you really have the best ahead of you. You need those first 10 episodes to make the last 5 amazing.
Okay. And I like that. That's
The
really
show-
good
The show
storytelling.
really builds.
Yeah, that's really good
Because
storytelling.
like throughout the
and
very first, I don't know what 10, because I don't remember all of them exactly, but like you never
It's gotta
care
be
about
10.
Larry Trainer, like Negative Man. You're kind of I
No,
kind of get
yeah.
annoyed by him,
yes,
but
I feel that way.
they pay that character off pretty well in the last 5.
Okay.
I think in a lot of good ways.
Because he's had a little bit more significant role when Jane was incoherent and they had to go in and get her, like, or check her out, like go in her brain, you know? He had a big role in that. But other than that, like, it's just about him battling his
And it could
sexual obsessions.
not obsession.
It's an obsession.
But don't you think that's probably one of the best portrayals of a gay character?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Because
I
it's-
don't know how you could rank that, though, or like even put him up as a gay character because once he's wrapped up, he has nothing
I
to do
don't
with
mean
that.
it that
The
way.
flashbacks, he's good.
I mean it how it feels authentic and not like
The pressures of
forced down your throat in a particular way. It feels like a real character really struggling
Yes, I would agree with that. Like
And
it
not-
felt like a real life situation of
and not like a token character.
Yeah.
It really does.
well, because there is backstory to him and there is emotion and feeling and like actual like there's an actual story to his life.
Yeah.
Saying about how he's been married and then, you know, this is all spoiler stuff, but like he's been married but has this love affair with another pilot and
I still really feel like spoilers don't matter really that much in this show.
I don't think so either. Like even bringing any of that up or you can't explain this show. And
No.
I don't think you can't like spoil it
I don't
because
think so, no.
there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
And it feels like a procedural up to the 10th episode.
Yeah.
Like every episode feels like its own story.
I don't know
I know
about-
it's all like built into one thing, but each individual episode, I mean, at this point, I don't feel like you would be really missing out if you watched them individually.
They're pretty
or
self-contained.
skipped around. Yeah.
But the story that's been building in the background through the very beginning, it starts to tie into the last several episodes. I don't know about the last 5 because I don't remember episode for episode what they are.
I mean, I'm on 11. I need to start 11.
At least the last 3 are like like the culmination.
Yeah.
And they point that out.
Oh, they do.
Mr. Nobody or Mr.
Nowhere.
Nobody. Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
He points that out. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Quite a bit. This is where his role starts to take off.
I was going to say because you don't see him much
but
since like the second or third episode.
It really starts to take off.
Okay. I like it a lot. I would suggest everybody watch it because I think it's really great. And again, like Chris said, it's weird. There are certain things that are weird, but at this point in anything that we watch or most people watch in today's day and age, I don't think it's that out there.
I wonder how much better these shows would do on a Netflix where it wasn't a separate streaming service. Like nobody in the general public knows or thinks to buy DC streaming service.
Right. No, nobody does. But I'm telling you, you need to.
Yeah.
Like you absolutely
There's great
need to.
content. Why do this? Why not just put it on Netflix or why not license it to somebody else, to HBO or what? Probably because they make more money because they're getting direct payments every month from customers.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
That probably is it.
the profit margin's a lot higher.
It probably is. So, there was 2 more things that I've watched. 2 more big things that I've watched that I want you to know about and the rest of the world.
Okay, and I got one that I tried to watch.
Okay, we'll go for it.
Oh.
Or we'll split it. I'll go one, then you go one, then I'll go one. So the first one was a show on Netflix, a new movie on Netflix called Rim of the World.
Oh, I've heard great things about that.
So it's...
I didn't know it was out yet. He was on Kevin Smith.
Yes, Zach Stentz.
Super cool dude.
Yeah, he seems really cool. Zach Stentz is like Mark Bernardin knew him for quite a while, and then Kevin Smith got to work with him on The Flash with what was that? The Good Dinosaur or the Lost Dinosaur or the Runaway Dinosaur?
Yeah,
Runaway
that's
Dinosaur.
Right. He wrote that episode.
That's an episode. But Zach Stentz has done a lot of things, written a lot of few movies and TV shows and whatnot. But this movie called Rim of the World, right? Yeah, Rim of the World is like an 80s type throwback, like childhood.
Like Stranger Things?
Yeah, it is, but it's like the Goonies,
right.
And I don't know. It reminds me of that one Fat Camp.
Heavyweights?
Yes, that's the one. Heavyweights. So it's like Stranger Things, the Goonies, and Heavyweights meet up.
Okay.
Right? So all of these little kids go to a camp in the summertime and are doing their camp thing. And then aliens invade the planet and they have to not necessarily thwart the alien invasion, but yet just stay alive.
Right.
But there is a character in here. It's like it literally is. And this isn't me just being, you're going to call me a racist, but I'm going to say like the token black kid. There really is like the token black kid in the beginning of this movie. They hone in on it right away. He's really rich. He's like the rich kid, but he's black, and he comes to the camp. He's came there many years prior to this, but it's like his regular thing that he comes to the camp, and then like everything's furnished for him because he's so rich. But the kid that they have playing this like character is amazing.
Really?
This character is amazing. The actor is amazing. Everything he does is hilarious to me. I thought it was so funny. I guess a little bit throughout, you're like, okay, like let's cool it a little bit because there's an alien about ready to kill all of you. You know, I wouldn't be joking around in this situation, but I thought he was more funny than anything. Like I thought he was a really, really good character, and he added a lot to the story. The only thing I thought was weird about this movie is the way it was filmed. Like there are certain portions in the beginning of the movie where they have really weird angles. They're like really up close and underneath people. I don't know if they were trying to take the viewpoint of the child
Maybe.
to an adult. I guess that's the way it kind of felt. But it really was framed and like filmed strangely in certain portions. I think that is what they were doing, is like trying to take the aspect of the child. It just came across really weird right off the bat. I didn't really notice it much later in the movie because it was more of a perspective shot like at the characters. But in the beginning, I was like, why are we looking at this lady like from underneath of her chin? You know, like it just was framed really weird. But all in all, it's a fun flick. I mean, I don't think it's too scary. I think kids could watch it. I think like any parent or adult would like it. It's kind of like a popcorn flick at home.
Yeah.
You know, which is what Netflix is doing now.
Yeah.
I think Netflix is going to reach out more and more and more to these type of shows where it is like a popcorn flick at home.
Yeah.
And that's fun. That's fun to me.
This sounded like cool. That guy, I just wanted to see it because that guy seemed really cool.
And the genre, like they had talked about, is needed. Like that's
Yes, definitely. I agreed totally when he was saying that.
a needed era that is not. It's like completely untapped, and it has been untapped. Stranger Things started to get into
Definitely,
it,
yeah.
but I don't think they're reaching the potential of what they could be getting out of that type of movie. Like I wanted to say buddy cop. It's not buddy cop. It's like just like a group adventure.
Yeah.
You know, and
Adventure
it's fun.
movies,
Yeah.
they're not really happening anymore.
No,
I mean, you got Dora the Explorer coming out. But
Dora the Explorer.
yeah.
Yeah, she's good.
But no, that looks cool. I want to check that out. I forgot. I didn't know it was out yet. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
not
actually
like-
longer than you'd think. It's almost like it's like 2 hours long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a lot longer than you'd think, but it's worth it.
That's cool. I actually did check one out. It was kind of for some reason, I've been getting home really, really late, but I can't fall asleep.
Turns out.
So I've been just putting on stuff to try and put me to sleep. So I was watching Netflix, and I tried to watch that Wine Country. Did you see that one?
Is it like a documentary?
No. It's a movie with Amy Poehler, Tina Fey.
Oh, yeah. I just saw that last night. I just saw it was up. I
bunch
didn't
of
watch it.
Famous people: Maya Rudolph, Rachel Dratch, or whatever her name
Probably
is.
like the most funny movie you've ever seen in your life.
No. I didn't get through it all, so I shouldn't judge it harshly without
Oh,
getting through it.
you fell asleep or turned it
No,
off?
I fell asleep. I
Okay.
fell asleep. I watched maybe a half hour of it. I
Oh,
wouldn't
well,
say
that's not much.
No, I wouldn't say it was bad or good. It just was a thing that I viewed.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
It had some funny bits in it. There's a really funny people, you know.
They
all
are.
of them.
And it kind of sold me on the people I saw
Yeah.
in the movie. Like I want to see it because of the people that are in it.
I fell asleep watching it, and I never had I think this was last night even, but I've never had the thought of, I'm gonna go back and finish watching that movie. Like I'm just like,
Right.
So I wouldn't jump out of.
Okay. I did just see that last night, and I thought about watching it.
I really like Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
So do I. And Maya Rudolph is really funny.
I'm on the fence about Maya Rudolph.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved her, and I just loved her like with literally anything she did in Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I think she's really funny.
She was good on Saturday Night Live.
Yes. Oh, absolutely she was.
She doesn't get enough credit. Everybody gives credit to Kate McKinnon, who I think is terrible.
No, she's much newer than Maya Rudolph, though.
No, I'm just saying everybody looks at Kate McKinnon like she's the greatest SNL member of all time.
Which is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got a couple of good characters.
She does the same character every time.
Yeah, her Justin Bieber's great.
Yeah, that's it.
That's about it.
That's it.
I just don't get it. She was in that Ghostbusters movie. I didn't like her in that. She's been in a ton of movies. I don't like her in anything.
Yeah.
Anything that she's in, I do not like her.
No.
I don't know why.
I agree. That's because you don't like lesbians.
No.
That's on record. You heard it here first, folks.
No.
No? Oh.
It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, I thought that's what you
I
were
just
saying.
don't like her because I don't think she's funny.
Oh, I would agree then. I would agree with that.
I don't know, whatever it is, her brand of humor, I just not.
Yeah, it is. It's like the same thing over and over again. She shows her teeth a lot.
But she's like hyper
know that.
political. It's just annoying.
Is she?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know that.
Anyway, what else? You got another one?
I do.
Ooh,
Take a wild
You look
guess.
excited.
Take a wild guess at what it is.
What network is it on?
Not on a network.
It's not on a network, but it's something you've watched.
Yeah,
Is it a movie?
it is.
I don't even know what movies are out. So,
Well, there's one that has to do with monsters and the king of
oh, you watched Godzilla.
Godzilla, the
Nice.
king of monsters.
How was it?
So
I've heard mixed reviews.
I'm in the middle of these mixed reviews.
Okay.
So it's very good in the form of a monster movie.
Yeah.
Right. And I wanted to love it. I went in loving it already because I wanted a really good Godzilla movie.
You went in with high expectations.
I did, a little more so. The only thing that I was really let down on, and I'm not going to say that the movie itself let me down. What I was let down on is that went in with the expectation of Godzilla being present more than he was.
Okay.
It's not necessarily Godzilla is present. It's all the other monsters
Right. Okay.
that are present in this. So Godzilla, what really bothered me about it, I'm going to just say right off the bat, is that he was kind of a bitch. Like he was just like he got beat up right off the bat. Can I spoil it? Can I spoil this? Do you care?
I don't care. So
Okay,
spoilers.
well, spoilers then.
I'll never watch it. So
So he dies right off the bat,
okay.
but he's brought back to life.
Okay.
And basically twice. So he's brought back to life by people because there's people that are monitoring. There's this whole government program called Monarch. It's not a government. It's actually like it's not a government contractor. It's like a private company called Monarch that is monitoring all of the monsters, right? And they're not informing the government on certain monsters that they've discovered. But the government's trying to get them to work with them basically and become a government agency, and like they can share content, and then they want to like militarize the company.
Okay.
Monarch doesn't want to do that. They wanted to save these things. They call them Titans. So Titans are what are saving our planet, really. They say that anything bad that happens to our planet over time, the Titans come and eradicate that bad thing.
Right.
At this moment, it's human beings.
Right.
Like humans are the bad people or the
course.
bad thing that are destroying the planet. Godzilla is obviously very apparent in this Titan world, and Godzilla is the king. And then you have, what's he called? Gohara, something. It's like a 3-headed dragon.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's got 3 heads and 3 necks. It's a giant ass dragon. They have found him, but they call him like Patient X or Subject X or Subject Zero. I can't remember. X or Zero. Anyway, he comes back to life. They let him go. Basically, like they break him out of ice and let him go. And then they figure out that he's actually an alien not from the planet. He came here to like take it over. But they didn't realize that at the time. All the Titans were like native species of the Earth.
Okay.
They came from the Earth. This guy did not. He came from outer space and is going to take over the planet. And then they just released him, and now it's like 2 alpha males fighting, basically. But there's also a queen, which is Mothra.
Yeah.
Mothra is like the queen. and she basically brings Godzilla back to life 1.5 times.
Okay.
But she like sprinkles this like dust over him
Because she loves him.
Apparently,
That's what I've heard.
I guess that's the thing. You don't really see that in the movie, besides the fact that she comes to save him, and as he's like laying there dying, she like sprinkles this dust off of her wings, to save him, because she explodes over top of him and dies. It's weird. I don't get it. It's never happened before in a Godzilla movie.
Have you watched? There's a lot of them though.
Oh, there's tons of them.
Have you watched them all?
I used to watch.
Because it's like a whole interconnected, deep universe. This whole Godzilla universe.
I don't know.
But they're all Japanese movies. I mean,
not anything. I had a bunch of them as a kid, and I watched them all the time. Like the rubber suit Godzilla guy. I watched those all the time. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. It's really good. It is a really good produced movie. It's fun.
I guess the big thing that people were excited about this one was they were going into the deep Godzilla universe that was established in all of these Japanese movies.
Yeah.
Versus the American take the last couple times have been they've just been monster movies, not with like a whole deep
yeah.
thing.
So, you know the guy, I don't know his name, and I guess I could look him up, but he's in, the only thing I can remember him from is from Billy Madison. He's like the bad guy in Billy Madison.
Oh, yeah.
You know that guy?
Yeah, he's in a ton of stuff.
I know, he's in so many things.
Yeah.
The only thing I can remember him from, though, is him like attacking Billy Madison.
Yeah.
And making the clown fall over.
I can't remember
bust
his
his
name.
head. But he's like the bad guy in Billy Madison. And so he's a main character in this show only because he like works for Monarch, and he's like this big computer guy, and he basically is the one that tracks all of these monsters and tells you like their heart rate and what
Bradley Whitford. That's his name.
Bradley Whitford. Okay. He's got like reddish blonde hair, kind of curly on top. Wears glasses. In the movie, anyways.
Oh, okay. I was going to say he does not in real life.
In the movie. And all of his lines, like every single one of the lines that he says in this movie, no joke, feel like they were added after the fact. Like everything he says feels like he is saying them unnecessarily. It's like they're having a meaningful conversation, and then all of a sudden this guy is standing off to the side, and he'll be like, but Godzilla's the king of all monsters. It's like, and they'll be talking about like, oh, I had breakfast today, and it was really good, and then he'll say something like that, and it's like everyone just kind of looks over at him like,
Okay.
the fuck do you say that for? What are you talking about? Every one of his lines are like that. And they're so like on the nose apparent on why he's saying this stuff. And it's like, why would we be tracking this Titan? And then he'll say exactly what you already know is going to be said.
Right.
That's kind of annoying, but at some point felt so campy that it was funny. Like it was, and he's playing that character the way it should be played.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be campy.
You know how ridiculous the words he are, like what he is saying is so ridiculous that I feel like he knew it too.
Yeah.
And is saying it that way. And is like, he doesn't look at the camera, but I feel like at some point he needs to look at the camera and be like, yep, I just said that. Because he's ridiculous. He is a ridiculous character, but it's funny. So all in all, I would give it a solid 9.8 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
No, that's not true. Not at all. I don't know what I would rank it, but you should not go see this in theaters.
No.
I don't think it even most of the time I say like go see this in theaters because it adds to the experience. This one, nah, not so much.
Even the big effects and all that stuff?
No.
No?
The whole thing is an effect.
Okay.
So there is no like big effect. Like all of it is CGI, so it doesn't matter.
I can almost 100% guarantee to you that I probably will never see it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even tell you that you need to. I like the movie. I think it's fun. I love Godzilla.
I just don't watch movies at home very often.
I mean,
There's so much series to watch. I go to the movie
I know.
theater
I
a
do
lot.
feel like at some point you'll watch this though.
But when I say a lot, I mean maybe once a month I go to the movie theater and watch a movie. I do want to see Aladdin still, and I want to see Dark Phoenix, so I might go see them if I ever get done.
I really want to see the movie Booksmart.
I've heard really good things about
Yeah,
it.
so have I, and I really want to. I really do.
Taylor
wanna watch
Swift's been raving about it.
it. Oh,
Is she in that movie or something? Why is she always talking about that movie?
I didn't know she was. I didn't know that was the thing.
I'm plugged into the T Swift
Why?
universe.
Why? Why are you listening to what T Swift has to say?
I don't know. Actually, I don't listen. I just heard it on the news or something that she was.
I do really want to go see that movie because it has been getting really good reviews. It's got like 96% critic and
That's one.
population score
Actually,
on,
I think it was Joe
Rotten
Rogan that was
Tomatoes.
talking about that on one of the podcasts because he was saying, like, it wasn't him, but his guest was saying, like that movie is a perfect example. It doesn't fit the model. The model in the movie theater feature film releases is no longer that.
Really?
That movie should have released onto Netflix.
And that's what it seems like.
And
if you
millions more people would have watched it. So it releases into the movie theater. It makes $10 million. 100,000 people go see it, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Right? But if you put it on Netflix, the next day, 15 million people have watched it.
Right. So that's what they talked about with Rim of the World. Like Zach Stentz was talking about that.
That's where I heard it. Yes.
Yeah. In that podcast was like that's where the whole
the
genre.
future.
And that was the whole genre of like the adventure, like
he's
child.
like, you can't make that and release it in a theater. Nobody will go see it.
Yes, but on Netflix, 15 million people will see it in 2 days,
Right.
or a day. 2 days would be considered a failure if 15 million people saw it.
I really think like no movie really is going to work in movie theaters anymore if it's not Star Wars, a Marvel movie, a Disney movie, or like a Quentin Tarantino movie, something like that. All of these those are all brands, right? Star Wars, Quentin Tarantino's a brand,
Yes,
he draws people.
Big time brand.
Things like that. Universes and brands, that's what a movie theater's for. If you have a little movie or like something like that, that's what streaming is for. Way more people will see it. And what do you make this stuff for? For people to see it. Because the people that are making these movies, they're probably not making more or less money depending on how successful that movie is in movie theaters, for the most part.
Yeah, I agree because
So if they're making it, they're
I don't
getting paid. Might as well get the goal for them should be. I just want the most people to see it as possible.
and they've got to be understanding this by now, right? Like all of these companies have to be understanding that this is the way it's going. Like it's going to the way of streaming services.
How does that affect
Like we talked about earlier.
awards? Right, so the Academy Awards. You have to have a theatrical release to be in the Academy
Well,
Awards.
like Steven Spielberg's big into that. Like he was arguing that Netflix should not be considered in any of those award categories, but I think they're wrong. They're completely wrong. These are movies. People are acting in them. They're the same length. They're feature films.
Well,
Regardless of where
are they
they're
feature
showed.
films though? Because there's a lot of like,
Sure they are.
there's a certain aspect of a movie theater where it's actually produced differently. So right, it's in a different aspect ratio. It's in a different.
Yes.
There's technology to a movie that goes into a movie theater versus a movie that's made for Netflix.
You're right, but I think the trend, like, is going that way. Like, I don't care about features. Well, I do. I love going to the movies. I love going to see them, but I don't think that's going to affect how people make movies.
Right.
What affects how people make movies is what is going to sell. Netflix, any streaming service, is selling right now.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones that are making people money because you can put a movie out that would never make it to theater and make a shitload of money off of it because that's what people want to see. They want to see those type of movies. They go to Netflix, they go to Amazon, they go to Hulu, whatever, to see those kind of movies. Like people are going there on purpose to see that stuff.
Yeah. Totally.
Just the same way that you go to the movie theater to see like a Godzilla movie or a serious like Quentin Tarantino movie or a serious, Spike Lee movie, whatever. Like, you go there to see that because it's only going to be put out in that area.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have a clear division on that soon.
I agree.
Like, there's going to be a clear division on what type of movies are where.
And we talked about it earlier, actually, when we were talking about we weren't sure what Netflix is doing these days. But that is what they're doing. They're producing that kind of stuff.
And they should be.
And they should be, and that's their niche. And if they're smart, it's enough of a niche that most people will keep that service just because of that.
Because of that.
I will.
I will absolutely keep it because of that.
I can't really envision, and I don't watch Netflix that much anymore, but I can't really envision ever getting a notion to cancel it.
No, me either, really. I mean, I really feel like the clear division that I was talking about between the adventurous, like campy, somewhat campy type movies to the feature films, I feel like they're going to have different categories on Netflix themselves for just that.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to have feature films that you might have to pay. Oh gosh, I don't even want to say this out loud because I feel like they're going to steal it from us. And say like you have to pay $1 more or $2 for this.
Think so? I don't know.
For this feature, like a feature film.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I mean, I don't know.
They're already making tons of money.
I know, but when people don't have to leave their house, that's a huge pull.
Right.
And you can say like, this movie would be featured in the movie theater, but if you want, pay us another $1.99 and you can watch it at home.
Maybe. I don't think they'll do that, but
I think it's a possibility.
yeah. I don't know.
And then movie theaters are gone.
Well, no, they're not going to be gone because
They
you're
will.
still going to get those big,
In our lifetime, I think we will see the majority of movie theaters
I don't think so, man.
eradicated.
Movie theaters are packed when you go to the movie theater. Like when you go to a Marvel movie, it's packed.
But I think that's going to start happening on your TVs.
I don't want to watch.
I don't either,
on
but I
my
think
TV.
that's what's
That was-
going to happen.
I think movies are enough of an experience.
To me, they are, yes. I
think
agree
to
with
most
you.
people. To most people.
We are getting into a severely lazy culture, Chris. Like, our lives are becoming lazier and lazier.
People still want to go out and do things. That's not changing.
Some people.
Most people.
But if you go...
Most people do not want to just sit at home.
Look at the years that we've lived, or even before we lived. So go from the 1920s until now, and obviously because of technology, we've become lazier and lazier and lazier and left the house less and less and less.
Yes, but to directly go against that, just as many people or more are going to see movies now as they were. The movies now are making more money.
I don't see how that's possible.
Avengers Endgame just made the most money of a movie ever.
Avengers Endgame is an anomaly. Like that, I don't even know if you can. I
Star
don't
Wars
even know how
movies make a ton of money. If they made an Indiana
They
Jones
do.
movie, it would make a ton of money.
They won't.
Quentin Tarantino movies still make $150 million.
Yeah, you're right.
Tons of stuff.
You're right. But is it
It's
becoming
harder
more,
and harder to get seats in a movie theater. You've noticed that?
only because of Endgame? That's it.
No,
And Star Wars, but I mean, you can't. I don't feel like you can count Star Wars and Endgame as.
well, that's what I'm saying.
The majority of population of.
I don't think
of
it's
moviegoers.
changing that movie theaters are the hub, but for those kinds of movies. That's why I think they'll continue.
Only because of those type of movies.
Agree, 100%.
But at some point, I feel like they're going to come out on a streaming service.
I don't
We're
have-
not going to want to go anywhere.
I don't have a 300-foot Dolby surround screen.
You're going to.
with. No, I don't think so.
You are going to. We just talked about it.
I don't have a mediocre popcorn machine.
I don't either. No, I don't.
I don't have access to an extra large cherry cola.
No. Oh, cherry Coke. That's what you got to get when you go to the movie theater.
Large popcorn, large cherry Coke. That's what you get.
Cherry Coke.
It's the greatest.
Yeah, it is.
I've become somewhat addicted to cherry diet Pepsi.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Oh, it's so good.
No. Awful.
It's so good.
I don't drink pop.
You know, I didn't either, but this spring, for some reason, I've become like a pop junkie.
Well, it's a drug.
It is a drug. It's 100% a drug.
And you're an addict.
I am in this point in my life, yes.
Right. So we need to talk about that. Marley, come out.
If they legalize it.
What, pot or pot?
Pop.
Oh, yeah, that'll never be legalized.
Pop.
Yeah, no, never.
No, I am, I'm getting most of my sustenance from
pop.
Well, actually, that can't be because I'm drinking diet pop, so there's no
Oh,
calories
yeah,
in
there's
that.
nothing in that. No, you're basically dying then. Like, you're just killing yourself.
I'm disrupting my
Slowly.
gut biome, Jerry.
Yeah, you are. You're autistic, I can tell.
We need to get the pot.
See? That was clear.
So then I'll eat more like peanut butter in a bowl with like Rice Krispies on it. I don't even know.
I have no idea where that came from at all. So did you don't have a what's in the box tonight, right?
I don't. I didn't go home.
Oh, right. I didn't think you did. That was the
That's
thing.
why I don't have my laptop. I don't have what's in the box. I got a DeWalt 20-volt max car charger.
Good job. I mean, we're at 2 hours and 5 minutes already.
Oh,
so
okay. Well,
that's all I wanted to tell you. So, I don't have
feel
much
like we're
else.
just getting started
That's how it is every time.
every
Single time. But that's basically what I wanted to cover for this evening. I really wanted to talk about Swamp Thing a little more, but it just, I don't
Let's
know.
watch a couple more
it would be,
episodes.
yeah, it'd be monotonous. The biggest thing is that it was canceled over money. It wasn't canceled over the show. I feel like it can come back because of popular demand.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to because of popular demand.
If this show has any reach, let us drive the sales to the DC universe.
Let
app.
us reach it.
Because I'm telling you guys,
It's an amazing
worth
show.
getting.
Oh, gosh, is it ever?
And you know what I love?
I'm so excited about this. And then literally I watch one episode, and within less than a week, like 6 days later, I read an article, Swamp Thing canceled.
Yeah.
And I read, so at that point, this is on my son's 7th birthday, by the way, and it was taking away from his birthday because I literally just wanted to read about Swamp Thing. And, like there was one report that said, you know, you're going to get one episode. There was one report that said they're going to do the first 2 episodes and that was it. Then there was one report that said they're going to do all of the episodes and that was it. I think that one's the most accurate. Obviously, they're going to put out the 10 episodes that they filmed.
It's just if the fans demand it, they'll make more.
Right.
They will.
So that's what I'm holding out hope on.
That's why we're going to drive people to this app because it's so good. Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, and Titans are worth
And see, I haven't
the
seen
money.
Titans, but I've heard Titans is the weakest.
Definitely.
The 3.
But it's still good.
Really.
Here's the deal.
But then all the animated stuff. Like if you like animated Batman movies or series or animated cartoons at all, basically,
Yeah.
any type of them,
Or
they're
like
there.
50,000 comic book titles. I mean, crazy.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. This is why I think they're smart, and this is what I think the future of streaming services needs to be. The annual subscription.
Right.
People are getting, when you say it's $10 a month, people go, oh, another one. It's not even $10 a month. When you say $6 a month, people go, another $6 a month.
Another $6, yeah.
But if you go, it's $70 a year, they're like, oh,
Oh, I could do that.
sold. Why aren't they all like that?
That sold me.
That's why everybody has Amazon. Everybody. And for
Because
the shipping.
I think originally it was like a storage location more so than a TV studio.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it was sold more of as storage than
What was?
I'm saying. Like if you're going to pay for DC, like it's like more of a storage location for DC stuff.
Right.
Rather than a streaming service.
Yes.
That's originally what it was.
I think
But
they should
now-
all be like that. If you just go, because when you, even with HBO with $15 a month, when you hear $15 a month, you go, Jesus, that's a lot of money. But when you hear $150 a year or
Yeah.
whatever, $170 a year, you're like, oh, just once? For a whole year?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Buy once, cry once.
I do that all the time because I think I look at these monthly things and I'm like, oh, I'm never going to pay $5 a month. And then
But
I go,
it
wait
could
a
also
second, that's
have
only
the-
$60 a year.
It could also have the exact opposite effect of that as well, where you're
I
like,
don't think it would.
no, I'm not saying with that one in particular. I'm saying like you could also say like, oh, it's only, X amount of dollars a month, and then you start thinking about what you spend on that in a year, and you're like, ooh,
See, I do the opposite. I'm
don't
like,
need that.
I always think of the monthly and go, oh man, that's a lot. And then I think about it, but by a year, it's only $60. I mean, I can't even tell you how much money I spend at Casey's every day.
right. That's my biggest.
You
problem
can't even
as well.
walk. I can't even get out of my tractor without Casey's stuff just falling out.
Falling everywhere.
It's gotten like to the point where I'm swimming in Casey's containers.
That's how you're living.
Yeah.
Obviously. Have you had their biscuits and gravy?
But seriously, I mean,
it's amazing.
that's how I look at it. I go 50 or 60, $70 for an entire year. That seems like a deal. When you say $7 a month, you go,
Yeah.
oh, another month, another monthly thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I completely agree.
I would rather pay annually and for a discount too. That's what I'm about. Give me like a $20 discount to pay annually, and I'm doing it every time. I don't even care what it is.
every time.
Every time.
Yeah, that's hot. I would too. For that amount of money, anyways. So that's all I got, Chris.
Better wrap it up.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up. It's late.
I still got to go home and take a shower because I'm
Right.
covered in chemicals.
Right, you look like it. You look like a chemical swamp thing.
I feel like a chemical at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry for your cancer-causing agents.
Oh. First Snarf Talk,
I'm Jerry.
Chris.
We'll see you.
See you later.